Today, we're going to be making some snowmen, and they are very customizable. So you get to choose your own adventure. Do you want to make snow girl? Do you want to make snowman? Do you want to make them with some special colors that you love? Or do you want to make them wicked themed like I did? So you get to choose. I'm going to take you through every step. They are beginner friendly, they are no-sew, and they turn out very adorable. Let's go. I'm going to be showing you how to crochet this snowman today. I recently just put this pattern together. A lot of the snowmen I've been seeing have only 2 snowballs, so I really wanted to make one that had 3 and that incorporated some bobble stitches. I also made a small scarf that I will show you how to crochet that. And this is a no-sew pattern. So the nose we're actually going to crochet right into our plushie once we're done with our plushie. And I will show you how to attach everything so you can make your own. I did try to make this the first time and it didn't go quite as well, but this is version number 1. I don't really want to jump scare you, but just know that pattern making is a process. I am new to pattern making. I am learning myself. So this was version 1. She looks kind of mad, but I do want to show you that there is a bow that is optional, but that you can definitely put on your snowman. So if you would like to turn it into a snow girl, you definitely can do that. For our snowman today, we're going to need some supplies. For supplies today, I'm going to be using Parfait Plush, which is a bulky weight yarn in the color white for my snowman. I'm also going to be using a Parfait Plush in the color carrot for the nose. How appropriate, right? And then for the bobble stitches, you can really use any color you want. I am using the slightly thicker Parfait Plush for the snowman itself, and then a slightly thinner Parfait Chunky for the buttons and for the scarf. But really it's up to you, whatever you want to use for the buttons, for the scarf. Totally up to you. Parfait Plush would be fine. You could also make the whole snowman in a Parfait Chunky. It will come out a little bit smaller, just keep that in mind. So I'm going with this green color for the buttons, which is a goblin color. My daughter said it reminds her of Wicked, which we just saw. So I guess I'm making a Wicked themed snowman today. So goblin for the buttons. And then for the scarf today, I am using Parfait Chunky in Ballet Pink. You will also need a little bit of worsted weight yarn for the mouth. I did choose to glue the mouth down, which I will show you how to do. For our smaller items, we're going to need a yarn needle. We're also going to need a pair of 10mm eyes and a stitch marker and a pair of scissors. You will also need some polyfill stuffing to stuff our snowman at the end. All right, so let's get started on our snowman. We are going to be working this snowman in continuous rounds. We're actually going to start from the bottom of our snowman and work our way up to the top. For round 1, we are going to grab our Parfait Plush in white or whatever color you are using for your snowman body and your hook. I am using a 6.5mm hook. So we have a slight change in plans. My 6.5mm hook is done for. So it's my absolute favorite hook, and 5 minutes ago, my dog just chewed it up. So I just tried crocheting with it and it is a no-go. So we're going to put that to the side, and I'm going to be using instead my 6mm hook, which I think will work fine. He will just turn out a little bit smaller, but that's okay. So dogs, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do first is do a slip knot. I like to do a slip knot almost like a little pretzel. So I kind of fold it over and then fold it over again. It looks like a pretzel. It's a little hard to see. And then I'm going to pull up that and pull it on. So I actually started crocheting and learned with a Woobles kit this summer. And that is how they taught us how to do it. And that is the way I still do it. So I'm going to wrap it around my pinky. And then I'm going to do the chain 2 method to get mine started. Again, I'm just have never really meshed with the magic ring, and I don't do it. So I like to do the chain too. And then once I have one single crochet, I always pop my stitch marker on that first stitch. Otherwise I have a hard time seeing where I started. So that is what I'm going to do. And now I'm going to put 7 more single crochets into this first stitch. We are going to be increasing around, so that means we're going to be putting 2 single crochets in each stitch around. When I start, I like to leave the stitch marker in there just so I can see the hole a little bit better, and then pull it through and then move my stitch marker. I always put my stitch marker on the first stitch of the new round. So now we're going to put 2 stitches in each one going around. So then we will end up with 16 stitches, and I will meet you there. For our next round, we are going to be doing 1 single crochet followed by an increase, and we're going to do that all the way around. And at the end, we should have 24 stitches for round 3. All right, so we just finished round 3. For round 4, we're going to be doing 2 single crochets and an increase all the way around again. And this time we should be ending up with 32 stitches. That is the end of round 4. For round 5 through 9, we're going to be doing 1 single crochet around. So again, just single crochet for rounds 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then I will meet you back when that's done, and then we can start round 10. This is what your snowman should be looking like so far. We should have 9 rounds. So if you count from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we should be here right now. So we can kind of see the snowball forming. Round 10, we're going to be doing 2 single crochets followed by a decrease. We're starting to see our snowball form more. So now round 11, we're going to be doing 1 single crochet followed by a decrease. and then we should have a total of 16 stitches at the end of round 11. All right, we are getting what looks like a snowball now. So now for round 12, we're going to be doing 1 single crochet followed by an increase. So we should end up with 24 stitches at the end of round 12. We're at the end of round 12, and now for round 13, we're going to be doing 2 single crochets followed by an increase. So notice we decreased, and now we're going to increase again to make the second snowball. So at the end of round 13, you should have 32 stitches. So I will meet you there. To the end of round 13. So now we're going to start round 14. This is where you're going to want to grab your button color. So feel free to choose whatever colors you want. I am going to go with this goblin green color and kind of make a wicked theme. Alphaba. Here we go. So I am going to grab this. We're going to be doing 16 single crochets to get us to the front of our snowman. We're going to be doing a 4 double crochet bobble stitch, which I will show you how to do. And then we're going to do 15 single crochets back. So I'm going to do 16 single crochets and then show you how to do that bobble stitch. All right, so we made it around to the front of our snowman. Now we're going to grab our button color. I think because I already made one with the green, I am going to actually make this one with some pink buttons and then do a green scarf. So I'm going to grab my button color. And how we're going to do this is we're just going to lay our button color over the top like this. And then I'm going to get this one on my hand. And then I'm going to insert my hook into this stitch, yarn over, pull it up, yarn over, pull it through. And then I just kind of tuck this strand to the back. So that counts as one. Now I'm going to yarn over, insert, and pull through the first 2 loops. And I'm going to do it again. Yarn over, and then pull through the first 2. And then I'm going to do it one more time. So now I should have 5 loops on my hook. Now I'm going to grab my white and I'm going to pull that through to finish. And then now I'm just going to single crochet all the way around back to my stitch marker. Once we get back, we can pop out that bobble stitch and then we can cut our yarn for our button. I like to tie this in 2 knots to secure it. All right, so now we have 1 bobble stitch, 1 button for our snowman, and round 15 we're going to just single crochet around. right, our snowman is forming. We are at the end of round 15 and we're going to start round 16. For round 16, we're going to do the same thing we did in round 14. So we are going to single crochet around for 16. We're going to do a bobble stitch and then single crochet back 15 to end our round. All right, we are at the spot again where we're going to add a bobble stitch to make our second button. So you're going to grab your button color. Again, you're going to drape it over the top. You're going to insert your hook into that next stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through, and then I like to just tuck the strand to the back. And now we're going to do that same thing until we have 5 loops on our hook. And then we're going to drop the pink, pick up the white, pull that one through. And now we're going to single crochet back around to our stitch marker. Once we get back, we're going to cut our yarn, our button color yarn, and that is all we need. So if you have some scraps at home, you don't need much yarn at all for these buttons. I'm going to tie 2 knots to secure it. All right, so it's looking good. From here, we're going to start to decrease again before we make one more increase to do the head. So for round 17, we're going to be doing 2 single crochets followed by a decrease. And at the end of round 17, we should have 24 stitches. All right, we're at the end of round 17. Now we're going to start round 18. So round 18, we're going to be decreasing again, making this smaller. We're going to do 1 single crochet followed by a decrease, and then we should have 16 stitches at the end of round 18. All right, our snowman's looking good. Round 19, we are going to increase now. So we're going to do 1 single crochet followed by an increase. So we're going to go back up to 24 stitches. We made it to the end of round 19. Now for rounds 20 through rounds 24, we're going to single crochet around. So rounds 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So the next 5 rounds, we're going to be single crocheting around. right, we are almost finished with our snowman, believe it or not. So the next step that we're going to do is to stuff our snowman. I use polyfill, and we're just going to make sure that we stuff it all the way down to the bottom and not completely stuff it. We're not ready to close it yet. We have a couple more things to add, but just start stuffing it to kind of get the shape. All right, so next we're going to be adding on the eyes into rounds 20, between rounds 22 and 23. I am using 10mm black eyes, and if you can see here, I have about 5 stitches between the eyes, and we're just going to try to center the eyes as best we can with the buttons. So I like to place them, so 24, 23, 22. I like to place them and then just kind of play with it a little bit and see how it looks. We're also, again, going to be adding a nose kind of on the same line between rounds 23 and 22. We're going to be adding a nose right there. So sometimes if you move it around, you can really tell like, whoa, that's way, way too far. Or yeah, you can just kind of play around with it, and it's, it doesn't have to be perfect either. And this is all a learning experience. I am still learning myself, and I make mistakes. Sometimes I put eyes in and I'm like, oh no, that was not the best. All right, I'm pretty happy with the eye placement, so I'm going to go ahead and put the backs on those eyes. All right, so we have our eyes. Next, let's go ahead and add our nose right away. So you can use some orange yarn for the nose. We don't need very much at all for this nose. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be finding the middle stitch for the nose, and we're going to be slip stitching on our orange color. So we're going to wrap it around, we're going to slip stitch it, and then from here I'm going to chain 1, and then in the same stitch I'm going to single crochet 1 and then do 1 chain. And that's it for the nose. It's a very small nose. I like having it pretty small. I think it's cute. Leave kind of a long tail here just so that we are able to get back to the plushie and hide it. I'm going to pull out my yarn. So this is kind of what the nose should look like. I'm going to grab my needle, and I'm just going to kind of weave this end back towards the plushie. And then I'm going to take this other end that is sticking out, and I'm going to bring that also to the other side, like that. Oops. So now we have our nose, our carrot nose. I'm just going to go inside the plushie, and I'm going to secure it by tying a knot 2 times. And then you won't see this, but I'm just going to cut this a little bit shorter here. All right, so now our snowman has this adorable, cute little carrot nose, which is so cute. I love it. Okay, we are almost done. Yay! Give yourself a pat on the back, because this is not easy to do, especially if you're a beginner. And you are almost there. We can do this. Okay, let's finish. So we only have 2 more rounds to go. The next round we're going to do is a single crochet decrease. So we have 24 stitches right now. We're going to decrease down to 16 stitches, and then we're almost done. we are on our last round already. So before we finish our final round, we are going to stuff the head. So get some more stuffing and stuff our snowman's head. I like to take little pieces and stuff it just so we're not trying to stuff too much in there at once. And you can kind of shape it a little bit with your hands, kind of move it around till it starts looking like that. That looks pretty good. Okay, so final round is going to be a decrease round. So we're going to decrease all the way around, and then we should be left with 8 stitches, and then we can finish. So let's decrease around. Okay, you guys, we're so close. Yay. All right, so we decreased around. There should be a very small hole left. We can take our stitch marker out. And this is kind of our last chance if we want to add any more stuffing. Your snowman probably will stand up on its own. But yeah, I like to give it a little squeeze and see what it feels like. I'm going to add a little bit more. Okay, that looks good. So now we don't need a really long tail, but we do need a little bit of a tail so that we can pull it through. So we're going to cut. I do like to slip stitch into that next one and then pull the yarn through. Okay, now we're going to take our needle. We're going to thread our needle, and then we are going to take our needle and go through the front loop and just gently pull it closed. Once we make it to the top, you can thread it to a different spot and then just hide the tail in the plushie. And then cut your end and just kind of push that in. All right. Sometimes when you pull, you might have to reshape it a little bit, but here is what our snowman is looking like. We are so close, you guys. All right. All we have to do now is add a mouth, and then we will make a scarf for our snowman. I will also show you how to make a little bow if you'd like to add a little bow to make it a snow girl, but that again is optional. So for our mouth, we're going to be adding this to round 21. So if you think this is round 23, 22, 21, and what I like to do is go in a different spot and then pull it up, and I'm going to go about 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches across, just because when you pull it, it's going to pull a little tighter. And it actually looks kind of low to me, so I'm going to try this again, and I'm going to go up a row. I think that looks pretty good, so I'm going to cut my yarn. And I'm actually going to be using this Fabric Fusion to glue on the smile. I think it just looks a little bit cuter when it doesn't have that little stitch right there. Sometimes when I make smiles with the stitch, it ends up looking more like a V, and I really like more of a U-shaped smile. So I am going to go ahead and glue this on and let it dry. While I'm waiting for this to dry, I'm going to go ahead and make my scarf. Sometimes this Fabric Fusion glue can take a little while to dry, and I don't like to pull it. I don't like to pull on the smile before it's dried, or it kind of gets messed up. So we're going to put that to the side, and now we're going to make her scarf or his scarf. So I am using this Parfait Chunky color in Goblin. It's very easy to make this scarf. All we're going to be doing is chaining and then single crocheting back down. So it's very, very simple to make the scarf. If you want to make it longer or shorter, feel free to make it as long or short as you want. I, though, am going to go with 60 chains. I'm going to chain 60, and then I'm going to go back down the other way, and I'm going to single crochet 59. So here we go. I'm going to start by chaining 60. All right, once you have a chain of 60, we're not going to go into the stitch that's attached to our hook. We're going to go into the one right next to it, and then we are going to single crochet 59. Once we get to the end of our scarf, let's just cut a tail so that we can weave in those ends. All we're going to do is pull that yarn out and then take our needle and just weave in those ends to hide them. I usually like to go, I'll admit though, I am not very good at hiding in ends. I think that's why I like to do Amigurumi, because you don't have to weave in all these ends. You can just hide them in the plushie, and I like that part. So this is how I do it. I just kind of go back and forth a couple times. And I usually will go down, or I usually do it three times and then cut it. So just kind of do the best you can to weave them in, cut the excess, and then you're going to do that one more time. All right, so we are almost finished. Yay! All right, all we have left to do now, once your mouth is on secure, is that we're going to hide these ends here. I like to wait until the mouth is dry, just because otherwise, if you pull on it at all, then the mouth might move. So I like to tie 2 knots and then hide these on the other side, and then clip those tails. Push them in. Oops. All right, let's add our scarf that we just made. Now we added on our scarf that we just made. How cute is that? I love that they are kind of like wicked colors here. And I used a 6mm for the one with the pink buttons and a 6.5 with the green. And I really don't notice a huge difference between the two. This one is a little bit taller, but not by much. And I'm actually preferring the 6mm one just because the stitches are a little bit tighter. And I mean, I can't see holes in this one, but I can tell it's just not as tightly crocheted. So I'm actually kind of preferring the 6mm for this snowman. The last step, you are done. If you just want a snowman, congrats, you're done. If you wanted to add a little bow, I'm just going to show you how to do that last part. Okay, to make our optional bow, if you want to make a snow girl, we are going to slip knot on with our bow color. I'm using Parfait Chunky in Ballet Pink. We are going to chain 5, and then we're going to skip this first chain into the next chain. We're going to single crochet 4. We're going to chain 1, we're going to turn. Now we're going to single crochet 4 back. So we made a small rectangle. We are going to leave kind of a longer tail for this one. So go ahead and cut a longer tail and pull that yarn through. And now to make our bow, we're going to take this yarn and we're going to wrap it around the middle and kind of cinch that middle in until you start to see a bow formed. And then I would recommend sewing this on, so around 26, 25. I think around 24 would be a really cute spot. I'm actually going to make this one a snow girl. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this bow on row 24. Once your bow is on, I'm going to kind of snug it in. I'm going to insert my hook into that stitch, pull it again so it's tight. And I think that really helps form a cute little bow. That's so cute. I love it. Okay, I'm going to do that one more time just to make sure it is nice and secure. And then I'm going to take this other end and try to get it close to this end in the back so that I can tie a knot. I'm just going to pull this through and then work this down. And then what I'm going to do is tie a knot to secure that bow on. And now I'm going to hide the ends in the plushie. Okay guys, we did it. Congratulations. We just made a snowman or a snow girl together. I hope yours turned out so good. I think they are so adorable and they are very beginner friendly to make. I feel like I am still a beginner myself. I've definitely come a long way from my first Woobles kit last summer, but still a beginner. I appreciate patterns that are easy, kind of mindless. Like you don't need to have put a whole lot of thought into effort into making it, but that turned out so cute. You would think, you know, you would need some hardcore skills to make this, but look at you just did it. If you do make these, I would absolutely love to see them on Instagram. Tag me at Cozy Season Crochet. And yeah, I hope you really enjoy your snowmen. Maybe you have some new home decor or a new gift or a new craft market make. And congrats. That's amazing. Good job. I'll see you in my next video.